Move this a little closer. And actually, I gotta turn this a little bit this way, there, because I'm gonna show you. Um, First of all, welcome. Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, and all that good stuff. And we're going to be putting pack of new strings on the Cordoba. Now, these are the Diodario Pro Art EJ46. They're the hard tension. Usually I go between hard tension or extra hard tension if they have it. And it's only because it's my preference. It doesn't do anything, even the hard tension will not do anything bad to your neck or anything like that. Once these guitars are set up, they'll basically be able to handle that tension. This particular guitar, like this and other extremely high-end guitars, it does not have a truss rod. However, it's because the neck is really good. These are well-built guitars, so not to say that I don't think it's a bad idea putting a truss rod in one of these, because I know lately a lot of them have been doing it. I think that's a good idea because when you do a lot of traveling, if you have to adjust the neck, it's very important, especially on classical and flamenco guitars. And even if you're going to play jazz on it, when you're going to do something that you have to have tuniness, stability, that right there is crucial. So that being said, we will move forward. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out to our good friend who actually sent us Surf Prophet 9. He actually sent us this video converter because he saw how we were streaming some of our old classic videos from VHS. We had to literally just point either the phone or the camera to the TV screen and just record it like I'm recording this, But he said he used this a lot and it works great, and I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Like you and Joe Winch from the Joe Winch Project and Zip Fix Guitars. Guys reaching out and just sending me stuff like that. It really means a lot, and it's just I want so bad to be able to repay you guys, and definitely I definitely will. Right now, we just got our roof replaced, and now we're waiting for the inspectors to come out. The company that did our roof, they're the ones that were able to get the permits. Now they've been down here for 30 years doing the work in this area. They specialize in these type of homes. They got the licensing, they got the insurance, they pull the permits, they're 100% legit. We just have to wait for the city inspector to come and to approve everything for us to move forward on anything else. But so far so good. I think the city inspectors, they got like 2,000 homes they got to inspect in this, and that's just in this area. So it's gonna take a little while, but everything costs. So, but I appreciate it so much, brother, for sending us that converter. Thank you so kindly. I was just talking with him earlier today, and I tell you what, I hope he brings back his channel because he's quite a very unique, great songwriter. He played me one of his songs, and I'm like, oh my God, this is killer. This is what we're missing. And wow, man, I was just, it took me back to the day where things were creative, And I'll tell you what, if this was back in the days and he was submitting that song, he'd be getting work, no problem at all. And would hopefully those days come back. So again, thank you so much. Now, what I want to show you guys, I'm going to show you Reasons why I string my nylon string guitars this way, especially up here at the headstock. Some people they tie the clear strings. They make a little knot. I don't do that. I feed it in twice, and it'll lock in once it's tuned. And the reason why I don't tie it is because it is such a pain to untie that knot. So I try to keep things as simple as possible, but very effective. And this way of me stringing the guitar up this way has worked for me for years. Um, I do a method like this on the bottom where this gets tied around once. I think this is once too. This is twice or three times. I think that's pretty sure it's twice. These start to get, the clear strings start to get three times wrapped around. And once it's pulled in, it locks in itself. The Diodario nylon strings, for me at least, they work great. And then, of course, with your slotted headstock, none of these are tied. Again, each clear string goes through the peg hole twice, and that helps locks it in. I think I might do two on this. I'll find out. I can't remember. But usually you don't have to because these are wound and they kind of catch themselves. But any further ado, let's go ahead and get this let's get this going. I normally don't do this, but I'm gonna start doing this because it makes the process quicker. So I'll go ahead and I can do this. Cut these strings. Ooh, did that smack something? Yeah. Wow, look at that, like a whip. Actually, I should have fretted it. So if you do that, guys, just go ahead and fret the string. There. It's not going to hurt. Okay. It's going to make this process go a lot quicker. And to keep in mind, most of these guitars, your saddle is movable and so is your nut. So when you do this, have the guitar laying down on a flat surface and kind of look at your bridge here and look how it's angled, because you don't want to start flipping it the other way and then you just yourself all confused. Okay, I can tell there's a lot of dirt and gunk. Let's see if I can show you this, guys. And again, doing outdoor gigs, sweating. So let's see. Yeah, can you see all that? Maybe not. Okay. Sure. Let's see if I could kind of turn this here. Well, I'll make sure you guys see everything here. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, this did get two wraparounds here. It's going to be at the headstock. Well, I want to see how many times. Usually, the bass strings they go through the hole once, and I'm able to tighten them up. But I do know all my treble strings, all my clear strings, I feed them through those peg holes twice. I don't tie them. It's enough. I don't think anyone likes changing it. Wow, over the years, this guitar is almost 20 years old. Yeah, almost 20 years old. No, wait a minute, hold on. It is. We got this in 2001. It's almost 22 years old. This coming, can't remember now. Maybe August we got it. And this guitar has been an absolute workhorse. Never had problems with the electronics. Never. Change the battery, you're all right. Okay. So, let's see if I could get this, we could get this down at the start, guys, with the movement. Kind of focus on the headstock. Okay. Okay. So it's not fed twice. And that's my low E string. Let's get to my A string. Okay. Yeah. Fed one time. Now my D string. Let's see. Now I tried this once before, and this method even works with your treble strings as your electric guitar. And I forget where I seen this video or read this article. Guy was recommending when you change these strings, wear rubber gloves because you could grab the string, the clear strings, the unwound strings, because they slide right through. Okay, here's a good example. You can see the nut here. Is movable. It's normal. It's not broken or anything like that. So if you could see this, you see how it's on an angle? That's on an angle. So this is your bass side. That's your treble side. So again, when you hold it like that, and it's going downward, this is your bass side. That's your bass side. That's your treble side. So you come there and you put it in like that. Try not to lose them. Okay, so let's see what I did with my D string. Yeah, it's only one time. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, so now here comes the treble strings. Here comes my trebles. I really don't like having a whole lot spaghetti mess, like long hair tangled up. Okay. And again, it's a little bit. Okay. Okay, so what I have to do here is this is why I don't tie these. Because again, it could be such a pain. I push it through. Yep, there we go. I'll put that on the side there. There, that's out. Same with my B string. Where's my E? Let's get to the B string. Let's get to this. And that's why sometimes I'll have needle nose to grab things to make it quick. Because my hands, I'm not a big guy, but I'm not tiny and puny either, so. Okay. Now this might be a double wrap here, fed twice through. Yep. And again, I only feed them twice. No tying. Just twice fed through there. And when you tune it up, it locks itself. Otherwise, you think this is a long process, you go ahead and tie these strings, man. You could be here for a long time. A very, very long time. And I'll tell you what, I think, was it Joe Satriani says he hates changing his strings? It's just time consuming. We like to play. We like to play, man. We don't like to do maintenance if we don't have to. Not that we're lazy, it's just that, I guess it's just our nature. Okay, so I'll use a little bit of fast frets. Been using this for, oh my God, since what, 1979 or something like that. But you know what? Use what is good for you. Use what you're used to. And experiment if you want. That's how you start to learn. Before I decided on what strings and what gauge. I used to use all kind of different strings. I found old empty packs of GHS boomers, and I'm a boomer. And then I, would go Ernie balls, boomers, and Diodarios, and for years stuck with the Diodarios. They just seem to work better for me. The only thing I don't like is when they put them in the same wrap. All the strings are wrapped all up together, man. But again, you use what brand and what gauge you like. Um, when it comes to the string gauges, I know there might be some people that disagree with me on this. I know there's very popular videos out there with a couple of very knowledgeable and popular guys, and I'm not going to disregard their knowledge, but I do disagree with them on some of the string thickness. Even I'll disagree with the guy with the rectum. Call it the rectum scale. We could feel the thickness and we could hear that tone. And I've always said this before, and I'll say it again. If you use guitar synthesizers, regardless whether you want to like them or not, if you use them and you use any type of the bass octaves, that's when you're going to find out just how crucial thicker strings really matter. You're going to find out real quick. But again, you don't have to. You do what you want. And, that's why they make different brands, right? That's why they make different automobiles, different cars, different guitars. Now, I did see a video. I think Ed Dana was playing this. And yeah, Ed, I agree with you, man. The guy's a great artist, great songwriter, great guitar player. He did make a comment that he plays the strings, not the guitar. Okay, there's a little bit of truth to that. However, the body shape is going to also aid in how you play that guitar, or should I say those strings on that guitar. As we all know, if you play a Flying V or an Explorer, you have that long fin in the back, so your arm's like that. If you play a Strat, your arm's like that. If you play a smaller body, your arm could be like that. A Les Paul, everything's different. Everything's different. I know Dave Simpson was showing a video of a guitar he had. I forget the name of the guitar now. It was like a 59 Classic. It looked like a combination of a Telecaster and a Les Paul with the actual fittings of a Les Paul. A little bit thinner, lighter wood, but it did have a belly contour. The controls, instead of being like this, that was treble, that was neck, and volume, tone. But instead of them being like this, like on a Les Paul, they were like this. So if you do that, it's easier for you, depending on how you're standing and you position yourself. And I know this probably is a conversation that's leading to nowhere. Oh, I know why. The shape of the guitar is going to matter. It's going to aid in making a difference. Okay. So now, we had our kitty's out there meowing. He's pissed he's not in here playing with the strings. Boy, does he like to do that. Okay. So it's a 3-pack here. And usually I date these, so I'll probably, I'll date that. Today's the 26th. I like to date things, reason being, I like to see how much life I'm getting out of these. And then this way, I can kind of gauge. I've used all kind of strings out there on the market. Coated strings, uncoated. The coateds do help a little bit, but sometimes they don't have them in stock lately. And I could get almost them out at the same time. Maybe I shouldn't say that because I know people can say, well, what string should I use? Go ahead and experiment. And if you're in an area with high humidity, if the coated ones work for you and you get a better results on them, then yeah, go with the coated strings if you get more life out of them. Because it's when you're performing, that's when you're gonna find out what's really gonna work, what isn't gonna work. Okay, so here is where we're gonna have try to keep things separate. So again, see, this is the only reason why it's all wrapped up like this in a bundle. But they are marked. So there's my B string, my E string, my G string here. And again, I go bass string down. Let's see if I can get this done as quickly as I can. And I know there's a lot of people out there, they probably don't play with nylon string. It just has its own unique tone. Okay, now, you could have a more stiffer end right here. Okay, and then on the other end, on the bass strings, you could have one that's a little bit frailed. See? You got the stiffness, and then this part's kind of frailed. This is the end I put on the bottom. And when I wrap it around, I usually wrap the stiffness around because this is not, in my opinion, not too good. But again, do what works for you. So I come to here. Oh, and then sometimes because you have to feed them through the back here. So what you have to do is, let's see if I can do this. Okay, we'll do it like this. You gotta feed it through the back here. Kind of like on the Ovations or the Breed Love guitars. Okay. All right. Now, so the whole point of that is, so what I do here, I just make it a little bit of a little bend. So when I come through this little hole, that makes life easy. Now, what I'm going to do here is, okay guys, I'm going to do this. I got my phone plugged in here. I'm going to unplug this. And I'm going to see if I could move this where you could see exactly what I'm going to be doing here with my tie end. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to see. Now, there is the end that's kind of frayed. So what I do here, I bring this around. Actually, let's do this here. I'm going to see if I could get this position a little better so this could help everyone out here. Okay. Maybe I did something. Don't know. I'm always doing something, guys. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Now, here. Up here. I'm going to show you how I'm tying this. Go like that. Here you don't have to do two ties. Go like here. And bam. So I have that frayed end right here. I got more of a thick, firm end there. And we're good there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put all 6 strings. Normally I don't do this, but because I have this, my phone angled right here, so you might be able to see a little better, I'm going to show you how I do this, because then you'll start to see where I do the double wrap. And actually I started with the D string. Now with the A string, you don't really have much of a frayed end. Usually with the low E you do. Okay, but here we go. Do a little bend right up there. Feed that through here. Put that there. This. Like I said, when you start tuning these, they naturally lock themselves in. Now I put a little notch here because usually I cut them down here so that these are hanging down that way. Now the D string is where I'm going to do a double wrap. Double wrap around that bridge. Actually, I know what's going on. I am going to go ahead and see if I could spin this around. And let's see, where's the camera facing? So yeah, let's see the other guitars. Yeah. Okay. There. And we're going to do a little backup here, just a little bit. And I'm going to, oh, sorry guys. Because I think this is a little bit important for people who want to do this. Okay. Now, I'm going to do a little bend up on there. Okay. Now, I leave a good enough slack around here so that I could do a double tie around it. You just have to be patient with these, but trust me, the more you do them, you know, the better you get at it. It's like anything else. And then, like I said, that'll lock itself in right there. Now we'll go ahead with our treble strings. And I do triples. And there's a reason for that, because these are clear. Actually, I can feed this through here. Just for now. Okay. Usually on here, well, it's hard to see because they're clear. See, this is exactly what you could be up against if you use these guitars. You know, honestly, there's a lot of great pedal simulators out there. But I'm going to tell you right now, they get close, but they can never truly nail these sounds of these strings. Okay, so there it's a triple. Just kind of pull it, and it's going to lock itself in there. Okay. Now here, I'm just going to put this in here so that I can kind of do its thing. Because this is where it's going to be tricky. Okay. Let me get my B string on here. Again, I do a triple wrap. I don't tie them. I don't tie knots because that's when you can find out what a pain it is untying them. Okay, and I could do a triple. One. Two. And there is three. And my high E. And then all six of them are on the bridge secured. And then I'll move it over here by the headstock. So you can see what goes on there. One. Two. And three. Okay, so there we are there. And what we're going to do is I have to do this to get this around so you guys could see. Put a little towel around everything there. Yeah, nothing works out right? Okay. Now, I might have to do this and turn. What the hell's going on with this thing? Okay, we're going to turn this around. We'll go there. Okay. Because here is where we gotta. I don't understand what's going on. Why I got that right there. Okay. See if I can move this. Sorry, guys. There we go. Because of this. And actually, I'm gonna bring this down so you can see a little better. Lock that wheel in. Okay. Now, the bass strings, you don't have to really worry so much. But I put one here. Actually, I need access to my tuners to turn my pegs, so we're going to do this. Sorry, guys. So you can see my 6-string. Actually, I know I don't need a whole lot there, but I do give myself a little bit. Actually, I gotta go a little bit further out here, guys. Here's my hands. Here's my hand. There. I go on this side first. And then that. And I bring her around this way. Be very tedious. Of course, when I'm not trying to film anything, it goes a lot quicker. a lot quicker for me. Okay. And it'll lock itself in, especially after you stretch them. Again, if there's a way that you do this and it works for you, by all means, you do that method. Actually, I think what I'm going to do, guys, is give myself one more extra tie around my A string on the saddle back here. Okay. Normally, I do one string at a time. Old school cranking it, man. So, yesterday, no, Monday's gig, we had, I always have a good time playing. And I had a guy make a couple of requests. And I was talking with this guy earlier. And boy, he liked what I was doing with No Quarter, Led Zeppelin's No Quarter. And then he told me about Tool. He has a version of No Quarter. And he said, yeah, they do it exact until the ending part, and they switch it up a little bit. And I thought, that's really great, man. Everyone's going to have their own uniqueness. Because, Led Zeppelin did No Quarter differently live than they did it on the album. And, okay, so this, I'm going to, no, actually, I don't have to do that. Sorry about that. I'm going to give myself enough wrap around, though. So, and, so he's telling me, yeah, he's trying to learn that version, and I thought, okay, well, that's cool. He got him. He meant no harm. He plays a little bit, he said, and then again he comes up. He's talking about I forget what song I was playing. I went into one of my originals, I believe, and we were talking a little bit. And he's telling me about a Peter Gabriel song. He's, again making requests, and I told him earlier that I really don't do requests. That's not my thing. I used to be able, oh yeah, if it's in my mind, I'll play a excerpt of it and that, but it would waste time. And here's the reason why I'm not a big fan of the request. There's a reason why. Okay, I remember back in the day doing that, and then the guy walked away, and he got talking with a friend. He didn't even listen to the song that we went and played. And comes up, like, I don't know, 20 minutes later, requesting, hey, you play my song? And we said, yeah, that was 3 songs ago. Oh, I wasn't listening to that. We took the time out to please him. But yet he did not. And this was several times with several different people. So it's like, you know what? If you want to listen to your song, you know, do that with another band, and just, respectfully, just trying to, show respect. That's not what we do, you know. And I like it when people would say, well, yeah, but you have to do what the people want. No, if you want to be that type of a band, that type of an entertainer, absolutely, because you are putting yourself in that position to be that type of an entertainer. And absolutely, there's nothing wrong with it. It's great if that's your thing. If it's not your thing, then don't even open up that door. And I think what has happened, too many people have done that, so that the general public, they think, well, everyone takes requests. Everyone does that. Everybody's a human jukebox. Everyone. Not everybody is. And what it has done is that you're trying to push your music, and there's people out there, when I made this comment, right away they nodded their head in agreement, and right away when they left, they had no problem. I think they were the ones that put that extra 20 in there and tipped me, because they're musicians too, and they're probably, I mean, I could be wrong, but they're probably thinking, finally someone is out there that's kind of standing up and at least making a stand for us who write our own music, who are trying to be creative again. And we're not saying anything bad about cover bands or anything like that. But when you have too much of one thing, it creates a void for something else. and then somebody's got to, kind of bring even it out. And I like what I do, so it might as well be me. Now, maybe the cover bands will get more work with me. That's fine. That's okay. You see, if you're a creative person, then be that creative person. If you got something that's special to share, go ahead and do it. No one is gonna know your music if you never play it. If you never play it, no one's gonna know it. And then, so don't justify. Well, I can't play my originals because no one's heard it, and they probably maybe won't like it. Well, two words right there, probably and maybe, is not indefinitely. But if you don't play it, you're right, they're never going to hear it. So go ahead and don't be afraid to do that, you know? And don't worry about how much work. See, never put yourself in a position where now you're so vulnerable, you're at the mercy of the people that's hiring you, that they're going to, they got more of the power over you. Always be respectful, absolutely. 100% be respectful. But, and this is my opinion, so maybe I should reword it. I personally would never put myself in that situation. If I have to go out and do a day job to help support it, then I'm happy with that because I won't suffocate myself. You know what I mean? And everyone is different. And I've had this situation where people would come up to me, or other musicians, they want to put a band together with me, and they would say, "Oh man, we get together, we would be rocking it, and this, that, and the other." And yeah, but I also have to like what I'm doing, because if I don't like listening to that kind of music, I'm not going to want to play it. And that's just me. That's just me. A person could say, "Well, you're not really, you're not a true." Well, see, when people say stuff like that, you're not a true musician, because a true entertainer, they know you got to please the people. Everyone is different. That's why you have all. That's why there's bands like Led Zeppelin. There's bands like Five Finger Death Punch. There's country music. There's blues music. That's why you have all these different. And for whatever reason, if you put yourself in a situation where you want to be an entertainer, by all means, you buy the book that's got 8 million songs, and you learn three chords. And I'm figuratively speaking on this, and you learn all 8 million songs, and you could go and play them on cruise ship. You do whatever you want, if that's what you want. But if you don't want that, and you got a creative side, and you like, man, I want to see what I could do with this, because this is where my heart is. You gotta follow your heart, because those people are out there. There might not be as many as the pop music, but they're out there. And in my personal opinion, I don't want to go to my grave thinking, man, why didn't I try to take that chance? You know? Why didn't I just do this? Because this is where my heart is at. You know, Carlos Santana would never be Carlos Santana if he went out to try to be everybody else. Eddie Van Halen would have never been Eddie Van Halen if he constantly stayed in the reins of learning every Eric Clapton song out there. He would have never established Eddie Van Halen. EVH guitars would have never been out there. The finger tapping, well, eventually someone would have stumbled on it, because it really is an older technique. But it wouldn't have been done the way he did it. You see what I mean? But they got away from that. That's how you establish yourself. So this guy that came up, made that request, I had to say what I had to say, because I could tell he was making yet a third attempt to come up to tell me after twice. I politely told him, and I was not trying to be rude. So there are people out there on YouTube that might see this video and say, "Oh, I think he handled that wrong," and that maybe you're right, but maybe you're not. Everyone's going to handle these type of situations differently. But if you keep opening up that door and giving some people that are the request people, and I mean the ones that are constantly, you can tell they're drinking, so more and more they're coming up to you with more and more requests, and now it's at a point where they're interrupting you. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're at a five-star restaurant, and you could see the chef. It's like you keep going back in the kitchen. "Dude, I want a Big Mac. Could you stop it? No, I want a Big Mac." The guy's gonna look at you like, "Please, could you get out of the kitchen? I'm busy." If you want a Big Mac, go to McDonald's. You know, at some point you have to take control, and there's a polite way to do it, and sometimes you have to make that announcement. Now, for some people, I say, "Well, Dave, maybe you shouldn't have made that announcement." And if you look at the video, I said, I'll be glad. At one point, we do plan on phasing out all the covers. Maybe if I want to do covers, I could do something on the side. But there is a point where I'm going to gradually get to that because I want to establish what I do. This is what I've done my whole life like this. Every time I played out, because I've always been that creative person. I'm not better than anybody. I'm just me, and I have to continue to be me. Because if I had to play every cover song that I don't like to listen to, then that's when I apply to be the uh, the waiter or the busboy, and I probably would get more pleasure out of that than playing music I don't like to listen to. And a lot of people out there, you know what I'm coming from, you know, because I run into the same people at the music store. When I meet them at the music store, the guitar players, man, they're rocking out, man. They're really good guitar players. And then when we get talking about the gigs, I could see their facial expression changes. It's almost as if they wish they could be playing at the clubs what they just played at the music store. But they got it in their head that no one is going to like it. So then they cave in and they're like, oh, I got to do this or I got to do that. And then later, when I have sat down with some of these people in longer conversations, they would tell me, there are times, man, I'll be honest with you, I can't wait till the gig is over. Some of these songs I just don't like listening to. And I would tell them, well, then why do you do it? Yeah, I need the money. Because I wanted to be a full-time musician. Find other ways of making money. You can even do it with your music, recording sessions, licensing and that. Find other ways so that you don't have to be killing your creativity, you know? See, and what I'm doing doesn't work for everyone else. There are people out there that are entertainers, they love covers, so what I do would not work for them. So, if that kind of advice helps anybody out there, you have to really be true to you. You really do. Because if not, you're going to feel it, man. You will feel it. And it won't take long for you to quit the cover band. You'll do it for a while, and it's like, man, I got to get out of here. I can't stand playing this stuff. Okay, now before I go any further on here, I'm going to show you this. So you see how I got this? I got the string right through here. Okay, so this is where I come up and I come up through the hole, down through the hole, just like in Joss, right? And I go through the peg hole again, and I'll give myself enough, down on this side. So here, now what I do here, when I go wrapping around here, I have to get those out of my way. I go one on this side of the peg, and then the rest on here, so that the string comes more like how this is coming in. And come around this way. Okay. Yeah, this is a little bit tough because of the way it is, and I'm not left-handed, and I'm on an angle. Okay, so you can see there, and I'll grab this guy. Now, I'll come around this way. See, if these were black strings, you'd be able to see, or if the peg was black. Now I come, yeah. I could get a drill. I could get a little. Maybe I don't want to put it on my impact drill because that thing will spin. We got a DeWalt impact drill, and if you know about power tools, that thing will spin real fast. Like I said, this could be a pain, but trust me, it locks in. And I usually, before I cut these extra hang-offs, and I always make sure I got enough slack, but I do trim them off so they're not in my way, and it gives a nice appearance, It looks a little cleaner. But I don't do that for a few days. I make sure it's all stretched. And and then I'll start trimming. Okay, and then finally my high E string. At some point, I might have to change these tuners because they've been on for so long. They do work, but like anything else mechanical, it's old. Okay, now come around this side here. I saw a video of, if anyone follows classical guitar, this young lady, her name is Anna Vidovic, and she was in the lounge area of this guy's shop, or I think it was a shop. Well, anyway, she was in a lounge area. She was playing a guitar, and the guy had just put these new tuners on the guitar for classical guitar. So it's these slotted, these type of tuners. Italian made, high precision. The tuners are like $900. Now, that's a lot of money for tuners. But when you got a guitar that is in the $10,000 range, $15,000 range, yeah. And you're playing with an orchestra, and you're doing major concerts, yeah. That's when you start finding out what these guitars, when you start spending that kind of money, what they really sound like and what they really could do, and they're just unbelievable when you hear them, man. Doesn't mean you gotta go out and buy one. unless you got the money and you got the insurance to cover them. Okay, so, and of course they got to tune and stretch. So it is a process putting these strings on. But again, I did not make any knots. Regular knots or even the Don knots. Because when you got to change them, you're going to be there for a very, very long time. And it is not going to be fun. I'm going to see if I can do this. Do this real quick. And it does take a while for these to stretch. But once they do, and they lock. They lock. Now, I want to show you something. When you're stretching them, it's not uncommon for it to move, but this is why I give a nice long slack. But once this moves, it's tightening this little loop, this little loop. It tightens it and just bam, it locks it in, and you'll have no issues. And again, just let's see if I can show you this. Yeah. That's how I'm doing this. Stretch. This, stretch out. Yeah, it's gotta be tuned. Well, if some of these songs, if I were to really sit down and kind of work them out, my mindset's got to be there. Most likely what I'll do, depending on how what I hear in that song, there are times I'll approach it with the nylon string and maybe do like a classical guitar version of it, and then take it from there. And I'll probably get from the same guy, well, no, no, see, he played it on a keyboard. Well, I'm not gonna go out and buy a keyboard just to satisfy one person. You see, again, if people do what they want, but be very careful what kind of can of worms you open up, because then you will forever be in that situation. You cannot please everybody. Always remember that. And I know it's not egotistical to make this statement, but you have to be happy too, because you're the one up there playing. Now I'll stretch them up. Again, if Eddie Van Halen did nothing but Eric Clapton songs, and he loved Eric Clapton, but if that's all he did, there'd be no Van Halen. There'd be another, Eric Clapton clone. And again, for the tribute acts, that's fine. It keeps the music young, keeps the music going. Seeing younger performers trying to replicate. Honestly, when you go see an orchestra, the vast majority of pieces that they're not playing originals, unless someone in the orchestra is also the composer. So, but they get the okay to do that. And with that being said, I know I made a comment on one of my live streams about if it gets to the point where they're gonna, like, what I call franchise it. I don't know if it's the right term, but like what Gene Simmons said in an interview, he said, I don't know, maybe we'll do like the Blue Man Group. Eventually Gene and Paul could be too old to go out there and constantly tour. So he made the comment, well, maybe we'll, if maybe 4 young 20-some-year-olds want to put the makeup on, we'll have the people of our choice, of course. So right there, he's letting you know that they'll choose the musicians and say, hey, we'll send you out. You'll get paid, but we get the gross, you get the net. And it keeps the music going. And it maybe once in a while we'll come out and make appearances, live appearances. I think maybe that's what's happening with some of these national and international touring cover bands, tribute bands. And if they're getting you okay to do it, hey man, by all means, go for it. Oh, see, I got no space in here. Okay. This is where it gets tough with the treble strings, because they really are stretched. I know it's kind of, it's not a fun thing to watch. It's like watching beige paint dry on a wall. Very boring. But this is a way that I change these strings, and it does help. This method does work for me. And again, it's slipping because they gotta stretch and lock themselves in. They're not like steel strings. Steel strings doesn't take this long to lock in. And then what I'll do, let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow they'll go out of tune. I'll have to stretch them again, but I won't be playing this. I mean, I'll be playing this during the week, but my gig's not till Saturday, so might as well get them on now. And again, I have really good luck with Diodario strings. They seem to, once they lock, they stay locked. Now, if I'm proven wrong with the whole, Gene Simmons thing and, franchising and all, then I'm wrong, and I apologize. But I do know I've seen a video where he was talking about that. And the only reason why I said that is because a video popped up and it's like another farewell tour. And we've already seen their farewell gig back in 2000. Psycho Circus was the album. That's what, 23 years ago. You see what I mean? Once you like to play, man, it's hard to put it down, it really is. I think what it is that you have to start pacing yourself in the style of music that you're choosing to play. I've seen videos, and I'm sure you have too, of Dokken lately. I like Dokken. They're a great band. I think, there we go. So see, I'll keep these, and what I'll do is I won't trim these until I know I got them all. I won't trim anything up here or down there until I know it's gonna, lock in. But I think Don Dokken, if he were to do something similar to what John Oliva does with Sabotage, and I don't know how long ago this was. It could have been a couple years ago, where John would come out with the keyboard and with the band, and they'd play a couple songs, and then he'd start talking, a story about how this song became what it is, and a little bit of history in the recording session. So it was almost like partial performance, partial history of the song. A little bit of a conversation story about everything. So that's good right there, because we're all getting older and we cannot jump around and move around like we were in our 20s. I mean, you can if you want, and if you hurt yourself on stage, that's going to be tough. No one wants to see that. But at some point, where do you start to reinvent yourself at this point in your career? And I really think if Don were to do that, he would really nail it. He would really be on it. Because again, he's had a unique voice. And there's some people that might not like Doc, and that's okay, But my point is, it's really tough to see someone go out there and you can almost feel it, man. They want to be able to do what they used to be able to do, but they physically can't because they're at a different point in their life. So that's when you can start to rethink the wheel. Quite honestly, when you think about rock and metal, you're usually thinking about people who are younger, energized, right? Because of the aging process. I mean, this is just natural. This is life in general. It's natural for that to happen. So, what I think would be a good idea is morph it into, maybe not, if it's not an acoustic, maybe something a little bit lighter, come up with newer songs. See, this is what I mean. When people are being stifled from writing music, the music in general, it doesn't grow. The musicians don't grow into this, who they are now. And what that does is it kind of kills what would we be able to see them do at this point for another generation to come in and say, wow, I like this. It's really interesting. A lot of the younger generation, I'm talking about, some of your teens and early 20s, high school and college students, not all of them, but there's a lot of them that, you show them BC Rich Warlock or, Flying V or a Jackson Kelly or an Explorer or something, and killer metal songs, the Marshall stacks, and they walk away and like it's like grandpa music, because they're younger. Some of them are not into that. You do something that's a little bit more subtle, or you play the same metal songs, maybe in a flamenco version or whatever, in a more creative, or with maybe acoustic guitar with a synth, kind of reinvent the song a little bit, and then all of a sudden you got this newer generation. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool, because they're not used to it. They didn't grow up the way we did. See, a lot of us out there, we didn't, videos. You go to the arcade, you get put the dollar in, you get like what 4 or 5 tokens, and you put them into the video games at the arcade. That was the extent to it. And then when Pong came out in the Atari games, okay, that's fine. You hook it up to your TV, but you didn't have a gazillion channels. You didn't have Netflix. You didn't have streaming. Totally different world. So our way of entertaining ourselves is that we had to do it ourselves. The amplifiers we were buying back then, it had 2 channels. It was like really cool. Whoa, the 2 channels, foot switching, 2 different channels. Oh, that's awesome. But the PV sound like the PV, the Marshall sound like the Marshall, the Fender sound like the Fender. They were not trying to sound like each other because that technology was not there. I'm not knocking what we have. I think it's great. I think it's just incredible. But it's kind of like if every piece of gear is gonna sound very similar, then there's not gonna be any uniqueness anymore because it all sounds the same. Same thing when I see these videos and people talking about, well, what microphone do I use if they start to get into voiceovers and that, and what kind of interface. If everyone is going to sound the same, then just have 1 or 2 people do it, and that's all you need because everyone sounds. There's no uniqueness anymore, and I think that is what is missing. And actually, that's what I was talking with Sir Prophet 9 earlier today with his song he played for me. It's very unique. It's very deep. It's not shallow. And that's what we're missing. You know, Deb and I went to the matinee last Sunday. I think it was a Sunday before last, and before the movie played, um, it has all those commercials and talking about what movies are coming out. And there was one in particular. I think the actress named Nicole Kidman. She's walking around and she said, about the movies. You go to the movies and for 2 or 2.5 hours, you escape the world. You're being transported into a different world. Well, concerts and live music used to do that, even on a local basis. When we were doing the local metal scene in Chicago, and I'm sure this was everywhere, back in the day, we only play like 1 or 2 covers, but the rest was 100% originals. And there was still little similarities here and there, but we all had our own uniqueness. Especially if you go back in time in the 60s into the 70s, Led Zeppelin did not sound like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin did not sound like Black Sabbath, you know, and none of them sounded like Queen or Robin Trower or any. They all had, or Fleetwood Mac. They all had their uniqueness, and that's what made their like Journey. And Journey, Neil Sean and Greg Rollins was in Santana, and they did not try to sound like Santana. They were branching off, and they were being very creative, and that's what's missing in the music. And that's basically what I try to recreate, and not everyone has to like it. Anyone out there watching, you guys are 100% entitled to your opinions. You all can still be my friends. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. But the point I'm making is that I try to recreate what inspired me when I was younger, you know? And whether people don't like it or they like it, it's okay. But you see, I'm the one that has to present that. If you get hooked up with management and production companies and all that, always remember who is on the stage performing. Is it the road manager? Is it the booking manager? Is it the producer? Is it the record label executive? No, it's you. You're the one that's out there. That you are the one that the people see. So you have to create that. And you're going to get a couple of people that are into it right away, so they know that, yeah, I'm going to be transported into like a different world. This is going to be awesome. Or if there's people that they don't know who you are, then create that for them and then let them decide. If it's not for them, hey, that's fine. 100% that's fine. You know, because what's really interesting is when you're done playing your gig and that, and you go and you're talking with the people, and they look at you, and sometimes people look at you funny. Ah, he doesn't sing. He's playing that weird guitar music, whatever. And then you say, hey, how's it going? I'm glad you came out, and glad you enjoyed yourself, enjoyed the meal, and you can kind of sense if they're really into what you're doing. So what I always try to do is I try to shift it, the conversation to where, and they got great food here. Look at the decor here; it's really awesome. The weather down here is great. And then I when I'm doing that, they kind of see that I understand where they're coming from, but as long as they're having a great time and I'm being polite about it, and then that kind of breaks the ice. And then you get some people that's just how they are, and you just still be cordial about it as best as you can. And if they want to make it into more of an argument, then that's when you just kind of like pull away and and wish them well, without turning it into a big fuss. Unless they're trying to get on stage. I had a situation while I was streaming live, and I think I was playing Stairway to Heaven, and a lady right away she wants to come up, and she was like, "Hey, hey," and I'm in that zone because that's how for me that's what works for me. So I'm playing, and she's kind of drunk and rude, and she wants to come up on the stage, and I was streaming, and I had to stop her because she was literally coming up on the stage like she wants to touch things or get my attention, and I had to stop her. I had to say, "Hey, we're streaming live." She says, "No, no, don't come any closer, please. We're streaming live." And she stopped and she did like a double take. I says, "You're being recorded right now." And then she kind of backed off and turned around. And when she turned around, she had the t-shirt on where she works at. And in big letters, you saw the company where she works at, and you saw the phone number. And you saw just how drunk she was. And I'm like, if you're good, I'm thinking to myself, lady, if you're gonna act like that, I would not be wearing a shirt advertising where you work at, or it would look like it was a company shirt, like she was, on a break, or she was, done working. And unless the company says, well, you're on your own time, you do what you want. If that was my company and I saw something like that, I'd pull her aside and say, hey, look, next time you go out, change your shirt, because when you wear that, you're advertising my company, and if you're out there acting like that, that could also be a reflection on me and my company. And I really don't want that, you know. But I was being polite about it. But there are times when you do have to stand your ground, and you gotta just say, hey, whoa, wait a minute, you can't do that here. You can't, because otherwise, if you once you open up that can of worms, I'm telling you, they're gonna think that that's how you are, and they're gonna constantly take advantage of you. And I think sometimes that's what some of these people do. They'll go to a gig, they'll get themselves drunk, and then they want to mess with the musicians because they feel they have some sort of power over us. You're here to please me. No, I'm here to do my gig, and if that pleases you, yeah, but only to a certain extent. There's ways of handling that, and I know there's gonna be people again that are gonna disagree with that statement. But if you let it go too far, watch and see where it really goes, and then you'll be saying, "Oh, I gotta put my foot down because this is getting out of hand." You know, I think what happens if a person has the fear, once they got the gig, they're gonna lose the gig. Then you know what? Don't even get into doing this, because always remember, you could ride out a year or two or three being a house band, and then they could at some point say, we know it's time for a change. We need a fresh act. So be prepared for that. And it happens with all of us, and that's fine. Also be prepared that the owners might change. They might sell if it's a three-way partnership. Let's say you got a three-way partnership, and two wants to buy out the other partner, and they give them a good price, and they buy them out, and now they want to change the music venue into a sports bar. Be prepared that could happen. If you're in areas where there's natural, disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, where the place could be levitated, boom, it's gone. be prepared for that. So that's why when I say certain things, I really didn't realize just how um, at home it would hit, making some of those comments until after this hurricane hit us and we lost 75% of places to play at. You know, because right away you always think of your house being damaged, but it's structure that gets damaged, and part of the structure are those places you just played at. Now they're gone. Now what are you gonna do for income? See, I never want to be in that position. I never want to be in that position. And I know I've said this, a few times before, but as you get older, if you're healthy enough to make money and go out there and work, no matter what it is, as long as it's legal and moral, go ahead and do it, because there could come a time when you won't be able to do it. And when you outlive your money, now what are you gonna do? But I've plenty of clients when I was doing the NEMT, would take them to their doctor's appointments. This will always hit deep with me, hearing people say, "You have no idea how much I would love to be able to get up this morning to go to work instead of the doctor's appointment. I'd rather be making money than spending money." Once you start seeing that side of the coin, and as we get older, it hits real deep. You know, you start thinking. So, but again, I don't tell people what to should and shouldn't do. Do what works for you. That's basically it. So I hope that does not insult anybody, because I'm certainly not trying to do that. And I hope that this helps with anyone who wants to change their strings. This is only one way of doing it. If you have another way and you find out that's better for you, by all means, it's your guitar. You do what's going to work for you. But I think I do not have to say that you could see how many times I play this guitar, even if it's short amount at these gigs. Because in the past, it was almost 100% with this style of music. And this has always been the way I've restrung my guitars, my nylon string guitar. And with doing the flamenco chops and the fast picking and all that, play the hell out of the guitar. And back then, there'd be 3 and 4 hour gigs, and I'd go straight through. So it does work for me. Again, do what works for you. All right, my friends, I think that'll do it for this live stream. I hope this does help everybody out there. I'm working on, putting some stuff together. I got my friend, he's signed up for lessons again, Hal, and we'll be getting together tomorrow. We won't be videotaping that, because he's paying for that, and that's not fair if I put stuff up for free and he's paying for it. But I do have I'm working on kind of a unique way of teaching for those with injuries, hand injuries, and with people that are getting like arthritis. Coming up with a method that's going to work where they could still play and make music. But I can only, go so far with a statement like that, because they have to take the lessons, because again, it's not fair for people who are paying me money and I turn around and put stuff up for free. That ain't cool. Anyways, my friends, we will be streaming live Saturday. Yeah, we're going to be playing 4 to 7. And, again, we're outside. We're at Miramar Outlets. But, yeah, so we'll be streaming live. And until then, you guys have a great rest of the week and a great evening. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Until then, you stay strong, safe, and true, my friends. We love you all. Rock on, and God bless you. Have a great evening. Take care.